Topuria has the potential to do something no one else has ever done in featherweight or lightweight, and that is knock out Max Holloway, the granite chin GOAT. But what does that mean for the rest of the featherweight division and the BMS future? Let's talk about it.
All right, Lucas, your early prediction, will Ilya KO Max?
Dude, I've been thinking about this fight so much. Because it's the next pay-per-view, we've been busy with other stuff like 307 and the fight nights. But now like all my focus is on 308. And I'm switching back and forth like every week.
But we've also like just been thinking about this one since it got announced. It's going to be the fight of the year.
I was on the Topuria like, oh, he's unstoppable right now. He can KO anyone. But then I started going back and watching some of his fights. And I'm like, he's actually like not able to KO everyone because he didn't KO Josh Emmett. And I was like, if Josh Emmett can survive 5 rounds, I'm 99% sure Max Holloway can as well.
Topuria's been hit hard before. Was it in the Emmett fight where he got just rocked?
Yeah, he's been rocked a couple times, but it was in the Jai Herbert fight where he got head kicked. And like full on head kick, should have knocked out someone, but he just like went for the legs and ended up surviving. So there is like potential for Max to land big shots as well. His defense isn't perfect.
Yeah, like Max, there's going to be shots going through against Topuria, and Max is going to eat shots too.
Which is what's going to make it so exciting. I think it's going to be really back and forth. And we haven't seen Topuria face someone with as good as boxing as Max, right? Josh Emmett is not on the same level as Max is in terms of his movement and his volume. So early predictions, I don't think Topuria is going to KO Max.
It's going to be really telling too about what is better in the UFC. Is it volume of punches or power and quality of punches? Because Max is probably going to have more significant strikes than Ilya, but Ilya's shots are probably going to hit a little bit harder.
That's a good point. We can make a video on that after. What's your prediction? Do you think Ilya is going to knock down Max?
I think it's going to happen, but I don't think that Max gets knocked out. And I think I'm switching up, and I don't think that Max knocks out Ilya either.
I think it goes to decision, which
so
is
too.
Crazy.
You have Ilya's chin, who's never lost before, so it's never really been truly tested. Like, he's eaten big shots, and Max, with the most legendary chin in UFC history, I think this one probably goes to decision.
Let's quickly take a look at their past records, because both of them have a lot of KOs recently. So Max Holloway's recent fights is obviously the KO versus Justin Gaethje, KO versus Korean Zombie. Then he went decision Arnold Allen, decision loss Volk, decision Yair Rodriguez, and decision Calvin Kattar. And all these fights, he has put on a great performance. Even the loss. Only the third fight was like a statement made by Volk. The other ones were super close. And now it's crazy that Volk and Max 4, we might see a completely different outcome. If Volk has kind of started slipping and Max is still only 32 and on the way up.
I need that fight.
I need that storyline. So Topuria's recent fights, we have a KO of Alexander Volkanovski, decision win over Josh Emmett, submission win over Bryce Mitchell, and a KO win over Jai Herbert. Only decision win is Josh Emmett, and that was a standing only fight. So are we really going to see Topuria KO Max Holloway? I just don't think so anymore.
He's got the power for it.
Of course he does.
You know what we've said here on this channel. Pound for pound, Topuria might be the hardest hitter in the UFC.
Yeah, and for the past 2 months, I've been saying that Topuria is going to be able to win against Max Holloway, but now I don't think so. Now when it actually comes down to brass tacks, I don't think he's going to win.
This is what makes this fight so exciting.
Yeah.
Is that you truly don't know who's going to win. This fight could come down to something that I think we've been seeing a little bit more lately. Which fighter has the cleaner camp? Leon Edwards, who clearly didn't look 100% in that title fight. I personally don't think Sean O'Malley looked 100%. Pereira last weekend came into his fight not looking 100%. So if one of these fighters comes in 90% and the other one comes in 100%, that could be the big difference in this fight.
Yeah, that's true. And I think both of them have super high level camps. Like Topuria trains. Well, I've watched some of his vlogs of the training vlogs. He looks dialed in.
He don't take a day off.
No. But so Max too, right? He's training in his hometown. I'm sure he has great camps as well.
Yeah, and he's there he wants to hang out with his family. He wants to be with his family for as long as possible, but he's also here for business.
If Topuria wins, who do you think he'll want to fight next? And who do you think he will fight next?
I think if Topuria wins, he's going to want to fight Movsar.
Really?
I think that Movsar is a better matchup for him than Lopez.
Ooh.
And I don't think the Volk fight.
Really? You don't think Volk's going to get a title shot?
I don't think that that's who Topuria wants. I think he wants to beat other people. But I think who he will fight next, the winner of this is 90% going to fight Volk.
So you don't think that Topuria is going to want that Volk fight because he's already proven he can beat Volk? Mm-hmm. So in his mind, do you not think that he'll be like, oh, I've done it once, I can do it again? Or do you still think he finds it a harder matchup than like any other guy?
I don't know if it's the harder matchup, but I just think in terms of resume, like beating out the whole entire featherweight division, you know, why does Topuria have to go and fight Volk a second time? You know, he already knocked this guy out.
I think it honestly, like it will look good on his resume if down the line he does become a featherweight GOAT. If you have Volk twice by KO, Max by however he gets it done, if he does get it done, and then the rest of the division, I think Volk twice is still really good for your resume. So I think if he could pick, he would want Diego Lopez.
Really?
Yeah, just because it's an exciting fight.
You think he cares about the exciting fight?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Stand-up fight. And I think he was congratulating Lopez as well on his win, saying like, oh, he deserves it. I don't think anyone wants to see Movsar fight for a title. It's too risky. If you give Movsar a title shot and he wins,
he doesn't beat Topuria.
I know, we don't think so, but division is cooked if he does.
Yeah, that's true.
Like that
Only one man can save us.
Who, Peyton Talbot moving up?
I was going to say Lopez, but...
yeah, that's true. Oh, that would be a banger fight. Mm-hmm. But I would like to see Topuria keep winning.
Yeah.
Even though he is like...
No, I want to see him lose to Holloway. Never mind. I don't want to see him keep winning. I want Holloway to get that gold again.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm torn.
If Max wins, who do you think he fights next? There's only one answer.
Yeah, if Max wins, it's going to be Volk 4, which is crazy that they've had 4 fights. And if he loses, I don't know what he does.
I know what he does. But it's also crazy to think that Max has already had 3 fights against Volk, has potential to have a 4th if he wins, and he's deserved every single one of them.
Yeah,
that proves
true.
How good he was. Like, he was so good, but not quite Volk.
Yeah, that's really true. He's been at the top for so long.
He's been number 2 for like 10 years.
That title gatekeeper.
If Max loses, though, do we see the 4-man BMF tournament that everyone's been talking about lately?
And even Dana said he's on board with it.
Yeah, he said that would be exciting and fun.
Yeah.
Dustin's really pushing for it.
The only issue is getting it like actually passed by a commission. I don't think any commission is going to want a person to fight twice on one night because you want to give them as much time to recover. Mm-hmm. Right?
Or maybe they want less time to recover. Maybe they...
Adrenaline dump. Yeah, who knows? I would be down to see that. But again, it's just going to be tough to actually make it work. And being realistic, I doubt that's ever going to happen. So if I had to pick, if Max Holloway loses, I think he'll go on to fight someone like Diego Lopez.
If we don't do the BMF tournament, I would like to see Max versus Poirier. He has the 2 losses against Poirier, and I would like to see him get a win against Poirier. Just kind of try to get it back.
Do you think he goes up and stays at lightweight permanently? Because that could be a play for his career. We've seen him take down the number 2, number 1 contender. Just
because lightweight's so stacked.
Yeah.
But featherweight is so stacked with like these up-and-comer younger fighters, you know?
And there's some bad matchups for him in lightweight. All those wrestlers up there, like, how's he going to beat Arman?
Yeah, and he's already beaten Charles technically, but that was Charles pre-blonde hair. Like, that's not the best matchup.
Yeah, it's tough, man. He has a tough career ahead of him.
So if Max loses at 308, is there any way he gets another shot at the featherweight gold?
I don't think so. I think if he loses at UFC 308... I think he will move up. We've saw how much weight he put on. I think he actually enjoyed being at lightweight and not having to cut so much. So it'll be interesting to see how he looks at featherweight again. I don't think he's going to have any problems cutting the weight because he's a professional and he's done this so many times. He's never missed weight.
So at lightweight, what are some potential matchups we want to see for Max Holloway?
I think Dustin would take a fight.
I think Dustin would too.
Yeah, he wants only big fights now, and Max Holloway's a massive fight. Obviously, we saw him beat Justin Gaethje, so that's kind of out of the question. Dan Hooker, a top 5 opponent, but he already beat a top 5 opponent. Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
Right?
I think if Max moves up and he beats one guy at the top of lightweight, he gets a title shot at.
He should. He beat Gaethje, and so if he beats one more top 5, like that's more than most guys have to do. That's more than Hooker's gonna have to do if he gets a title shot.
That Gaethje win alone is enough for him. Like, I think, is there a world where Max loses, goes up to lightweight, and after Arman is Islam's next opponent? There's no one really else lined up for that fight.
That's actually a fair take, because if you were a lightweight fighter, like if lightweight was his natural weight and he beat a Justin Gaethje, you'd be giving that guy a title shot.
100%.
It's only because he's a featherweight that people look at him differently.
And we've seen Dana in the past when fighters move up, they get a little bit of the extra push, you know? Not that Max doesn't deserve it, because he does. He also just finally went up 2 spots on the rankings. Did you see that for lightweight?
Yeah.
He's up to 8 now.
That was weird.
Just 6 months later. They also did some weird things, like moved a couple guys down who haven't fought in like a couple months. It was like, all right.
So what happens to the BMF belt if Max wins? Can he be a double champ, BMF and the featherweight champ?
If he wins, I would like to see him relinquish it. But if he loses, I think he keeps it.
This is the problem with having 2 belts in one division, is you can't have the champ have it.
Yeah, they're not fighting for the BMF belt. They're fighting for the featherweight belt.
Yeah, but if Max wins, then he has both, which is just weird.
Which I think he relinquishes the BMF belt.
And then do they move it to a different division, or do they keep it in featherweight?
I'd say they probably would move it to lightweight.
Again.
You have more room to grow with that. You can move it up to welter, down to lightweight, and you kind of just see where it goes. Like you move it up to lightweight, and then if a welterweight wins it, coming down, or the lightweight goes up, and then you have middleweights who can fight for it.
I could see them doing like a Charles versus Colby in welterweight. Give Colby another chance at a belt because he hasn't had enough. I'm over him. If Max loses, what's our forfeit?
You're picking Topuria.
Well, you don't know that.
Like the clothes will be off. Thanks for watching.